channel. My name is Beatrice Ajayi. I'm an artist based in Glasgow in Scotland, and here I like to share what I get up to in my art studio. And today I wanted to work on this template here in this sketchbook. So if this is your first time, welcome, and if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. And also I'd like to thank my subscribers. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you subscribing and spending the time watching what I get up to in my studio. It's a lot of fun, and the whole purpose of me sharing on this channel is to inspire you guys to spend time being creative as well. So I'm going to get straight into it. And today I really love the colors on this page, and I'd spoken about working on some floral artwork. So I have already started using up, I think I used up my last paints on my palette that I didn't really get into using in the last painting I did. I just used them straight here on the palette and then on my page, and I'm just going to get into trying to paint some flowers and just take my time today and try and work out how I should do this, what my style is in flower painting. I've been adding flowers to some of my work slowly, but trying to be light about it. I've done a whole range of sketches as well that I really wanted to inspire myself from. So I've got them up on the wall here. I will maybe show you a picture of that if I remember, but I just want to get straight into it because we have about an hour on this session and I'm just going to go for it. But I don't know if you can see here on this piece, so I'll show it this way as well. I have added the hint of a flower here on this painting. So that's the idea I'm going with as well. A hint of a flower here, and then I'll see what I get, what I build up from that, basically. Yeah, so let's get into it and let's go for it. I could have used color pencils to get myself started, but I just decided to use this woody, and just to get, it's a woody crayon, and just to start getting some shapes out. And I'm looking at the sketches that I've got in front of me from flowers that I've already sketched before, and I'm just going to loosely start replicating that on the paper. So you might not see it very clearly at first, but hopefully when I start actually getting in with the paint, you will have an idea of what I've been getting up to in the detail. So yeah, I have been enjoying sharing with you guys here on the channel and trying to get a different format, experimenting with my videos a little bit more just to see what I can do for myself. I just really enjoy exploring and experimenting, and if I don't, I would get very bored. So I like to just go for it and try out different things. So this is like a meadow, and I really like the shapes of peonies or roses. So that is what I'm doing right now. Some peonies and roses ideas just around, and I might change them. I'm trying to do different sizes, so, and then overlapping some of them on the page. For a while I kept discussing how I wanted to change this whole aspect of having a divide on my page, but I have decided to just embrace it and go for it. So let's see what I can use, what paints I can use, and how I can draw these out. I have red here, and I wanted to have some red paint on my palette, so I'm just squeezing some of that out. Let's see if it comes out fine. If not, I am going to have to cut. I'm gonna have to cut this actual tube of paint. Let's see, I'm squeezing some out. Some's coming out. Something is coming out. That's good. So I want to use some true red. What red is this actually? Let me just check this. Let's see, it is crimson. Is it the naphthol crimson? Let me just check on my video just to make sure I am in frame. Yes, I am. Right, so I've got that. I'm using really bright floral colors. I will also use my Prussian blue, which I love to do, and look for a green somewhere as well. And then I like to use this orange. These are two fluorescent colors I love to use, the pink and the orange. I've just found that even for like skin tones as well, when I was doing my portraits, I really like the fluorescent kind of tint that these would bring in. So I'm just going to go for it and just start using colors to bring things out. We'll see how it goes. I've got my different tools here that I want to use as well today. As usual, I always love to use this little roller, which I really like. And I have other rollers actually as well. Let me see if I can remember where they are. I have my tools around me here. Yep, here I do. So I've got this one as well. So this, I have a bigger one, which I seem to have misplaced, but I have an even bigger one that's like three times the size of this that I've had since I was at uni, and I need to figure out where that is. But mainly what I do with that is I'll put paint on a page, close the page over, and I'll roll that over just to get the paint to spread. So that's what, it's more of a blending tool for colors to blend together. But on a bigger canvas, I could use it as its own tool straight away. So that, and I've got my other brushes here. I do have a yellow. Do I want to add to this? Because then, let's see, do I have any other yellows? I think I have to cut this one. And then I can use that for some of the actual leaves, but I'll wait probably till I need it. So let's put this in here somewhere and get started, because I have been talking for a while. So as I said, an hour stint with this. So we'll see where we get to. And I've got palette knife, my rolling tool as I've mentioned. I've got this other rolling tool, I might not use it. I have a flat brush here, a filbert brush. I've got a detail brush, round brush, and another detail, like, is this a mini filbert? It's a very tiny filbert. Or it's, yeah, I'm gonna say it's another filbert, but it's really tiny one. So let's see what happens. I might pick other brushes from around me and other mark making tools as well as I go along. Depends on how I'm inspired. So what I want to do though is start with my brushes to get some colors in. So I might actually use my, so that you can see it, I'm going to use my Prussian blue, which I'm trying to use up in here. Just gonna mist it a bit and keep that, because I've opened it up. So let's see what happens. So yeah, I am just gonna get straight into drawing. And the thing is, I've been telling myself to just like act like I'm drawing. That's the best way to approach this, and to think of different shapes and layering. And there we go, and bringing all of that out in the page. Just different shapes, and playing around with that. And then obviously there'll be some shadow, like to spread the color around everywhere as well. So there'll be some smaller ones. We've already got the pink in the background, so that's gonna help with bringing some interest into this and helping us to see what it is that I am painting. Using up what's on the edges of my brush. So sometimes I like to break my subject matter down. If I want to do like bees or something, then I'll focus on just doing bees. If I want to do like doing the flowers now, I'll focus on just doing the flowers and just sketching them. So I'm trying to relax my way into painting florals. I don't want it to be that if I can't get it exactly the way I want it, imagine it in my head, that I don't do any at all. I am trying to make sure that I still bring some florals into my artwork, and that is what I'm doing, and seeing what happens with that. Because the more I practice the shapes, the forms, I feel like at some point it will click as to how I can achieve what it is I want to do. So it's better for me to do something than nothing, basically. So these little sketches I've done with my woody pencil, I am now doing with the brush. So I'm being repetitive. I am going over and over similar marks and building a story of mark making. So I'm gonna do some smaller paint, like flowers as well. That's one there. So I'm just ad-libbing this small one. As I said, I wanted to be able to paint flowers today, so I am just repeatedly going over and over then what I'll do is use another color over this and just play with that. And this is how I've started using my sketchbook. It's just to play. And I don't feel any pressure because I am just being loose, using my freedom. So I'm trying to vaguely link them together so that I can have some kind of a theme. But that's me also practicing my mark making for when I do bigger paintings as well. So I'm doing many things together all at the same time by doing this. And then I wanted to use some green as well. So as I keep saying, it's about the process as well. So I'm letting this dry, but then I'm going to bring in some green. I'm not going to wash off my brush, but I will use that in a minute too. Unless this looks like it's working actually. Sometimes these don't work very well for like using the ink, but I love the way it's looking. Loose feel. My ink's almost finished. That's probably why. If I get some and put them in. Okay, I'm gonna do this a couple of times so that I can mix it. I'm gonna mix it. So put some water in there. My fingers are getting marked already with some paint. I've realized I really like inks. They really work for my style of painting. And this is why I encourage using different mediums, because it really helps you to realize what it is you like to use. And these are going to be really interesting marks when they dry. I'm just thinking about a brush I could use for something else now as well. I really like that. And I wanted to bring in, oh, I love this color. So what I might do is put this color on one side of the page and smush it together. So I'm going to try and see how I can do this yet using it like the ink, exactly like that. Probably do a couple of these different colors mixed in. So on this page, I'm going to smush the page together because that's how I can transfer the color. And then, do I want to put this blue? I think I do. I'm going to put also white as well. So I'll just do this across. Ooh, there's a bit much there. Might take some off that I think is too much. So I want to put some white as well. So doing this actually takes a lot longer than we are doing here. I could end up having to put, to dry it with my heating tool. I just want to add some white for some highlights in here. So this is what I'm doing. So remember, how did we start off was that I put some colors down before already from my former painting session. Then I'd sketched in with some of the Prussian blue. And right now this looks like a total mess, but it's going to make sense towards, because it's helping me have a background. So I'm going to put this back over. And this is where I said I would usually have my long roller tool, and I would roll it like this across. So it would usually be my longer one. So just do this. So the process has really been helping me with how I create my artwork. Now I have to be careful here. Sometimes you have to be careful because it can stick, the pages can stick together. So sometimes I'll spritz it with water before I do this, but I think it's wet enough. Other times I will, so look at that. That is what we've got currently. So some of the flowers have survived, some haven't. And this is how things can work for you as well. So what I can do is I can go in and scratch. I could use my palette knife for that. I'm gonna put that brush in water because I used to paint on it. So I could go in and scratch some designs in. So that's what I'm doing with my palette knife now. So this is another layer of interest of like trying to bring those flowers back out that are in there that have just disappeared because of what's going on in the background. You're adding another layer of texture drawing into this. I don't think there was a flower here, but I am going to sketch something in here just because I want to get that interest. As I said, flowers. So there's different ways for me to bring flowers in, and still enjoy the whole idea of them, even if it's a hint. So just scratch this in, and here, and there was some bits here. So I'm trying to be careful not to tear the page. This is a book that I got, and it would be like I thrifted it basically, and I'm just painting into it. So you can use old books to paint in. This has a hardback, so it's quite good for storing the paintings safely, but I basically would gesso the page, and then you can do as many layers as you want, as strongly as you want it to be, and then you can paint in it. So I am using that. You don't have to buy a brand new sketchbook, is my point. So yeah, so now I've scratched this into this. And this is where we are. So we would get this to dry, and we can add some more layers into it. So I'm just gonna spread the paint on my, I think sometimes I overdo the amount of paint I put on the page, because another way you could do it is put one color on, smush it, let it dry, and you can continue like that and build the layers. So that is another way to do that. I'm going to try and heat this a little bit to get it to mostly dry, and then start coming in with my other colors slowly. So I've got my heating tool here that I'm going to use and see how much I can dry this. So you have to be careful because some of it can start peeling off. But I wanted to make sure there's enough so that I can dry and I can start putting on some colors. I am going to, trying to think of what white I want to use. I'm going to use some of my white gesso. And so I'm going to use my palette knife to get this out. Let's see. So I can have that ready for when I start wanting to put some highlights. That should be enough, shouldn't it? Okay, right. We're just gonna do 2. So I'm just gonna try and close this without. Right, so sometimes actually, like the last painting I did, which you will see, I spray painted a little bit on it. So there's so many ways that I can add to my paintings. I just want to use a little bit of my, maybe I'll use a palette knife for this part. I was going to use the brush, but I'm thinking the palette knife might be actually fun to do this with. So we're coming in with a palette knife and starting to bring in some colors and play around and see. And the reason I use all the different tools is because I want to be able to practice with all of them. I'm really needing to expand and learn how I use my tools. And I don't know if I mentioned already, I'm using acrylic paint right now for this. So let's see how this goes. I'm trying to mix the different colors, a bit of red in there as well. Mixing the colors, not just going with just one every time, but a bit of a difference. And you can let colors peek through. They don't all have to be you know, the same. And then I can come back in again with some of these other colors in here, like more greens and a bit more detail with a brush so that it doesn't look as smooshy with the palette knife. But there's so many angles that you can use a palette knife for, and I have different palette knives. So I just want to be able to learn how to do that. So that's will be fun. Fun, fun, fun. Oh, there's a bit of red here. I might want to add quite a bit of red. I don't know what this looks like from above, but I don't want to overdo some of the shapes I'm doing. So, because I like some of the pinks in there, the way that they are already. So I could do this a little while and then come in with actual brush. So I'm trying to have variety in here. And play around with that. So this is fun. As I said, Floral, trying to work out how to use this. And then you have to do your hand gestures as well. You need to move your arm around and twist, and knowing how to put the mark down is really interesting. I really like my cooler colors. I think I'm learning that that's what I like to do. The warmer colors for me, I don't know what it is. It's like well, also the red that I have might not be working. Might be too warm a red to mix with the colors that I'm using. So I'm just trying to get variety on this. I'm not trying to think too much about it. Variety and getting the colors to travel across the page. So if I don't like some areas, I don't want it to be too contrived. So I'm just going to keep mixing different things together. Let's see. Because I can always, as I said, push some areas back if I don't like the way it looks. So I'm kind of using them in their saturated format. I don't know if that's what I should be doing, but to be loose, footloose, fancy free. I really like them more in their saturated, you know, because there's always this conversation of mixing colors, but I like to see the colors. I don't know what goes on with that, but if the colors are blended and they're not working, it really upsets me. So I prefer to see the colors, but then I want the nuances, so I'm having to work it out. And then the kind of marbled effect, I really like that. So I think I need to turn this page if I want a certain level of control on this. And then we can do things where we drip as well and do a whole bunch of other things like that. But I really love the pink. The pink, oh my goodness, fluorescent pink. It just does it for me. So this page, I can always come back to it again. And I'm going to put some dots of things around that are like extra petals, just I think to bring out some of these flowers, I need to work on the background a little bit. So that might be my next maneuver. I'm really enjoying mixing these colors and getting the marbled kind of consistency and using a lot of white as well. It's very right, let's see this one. I just love the mixes. So what I'm gonna do is actually start to look at the background a bit more. Right, so this one, I'm gonna leave you for a minute and then I'm gonna go into some of my Persian blue again. I've got purples there as well. I might bring that in. So I'm gonna use my filbert brush and try and darken some areas. And if some areas are still wet, then that would help. I might mix in some of my colors here, like maybe some of the red, and get a really strange brown effect in the background. There's so many ideas of what I could do here. If I wanted, I could start, you know, going into adding some vines and things in the background here. Like, I've mixed the blue there, Persian blue with this, and now I am getting some vines because I'm going to make them into leaves, as you will see soon. So I'm just introducing them. Should probably have a thinner brush. I'm trying to use the side of my filbert. So I'm adding that into this to be like the branches in the actual meadow. This is a close-up meadow. So what you can do is start creating leaves. And then you scratch into them. You can see the colors through and you can get the impression of the leaves. So yeah, it all takes time building these. You can make the leaves as big as you want. So let's see. I could add some of this here. Some of this could have been like darker green if I add. It's kind of a green, and to make this flower stand out a bit. And a bit of a scumble. So when these dry as well, I can come back in with other colors. So let's see. Some scumble in here, just adding some extra textures up here. I can use other colors, but I'm trying to get these flowers to stick out. And I'm mixing my Persian blue with some of the red I have there, and making it more into a brown. And so I'm trying to break it up and see. I could probably stand up and have a look at what is happening here. It's not everyone that I am. As I said, I feel like I like the cooler blue more. I don't know why that is. I just like the way that it separates the actual artwork, you know, for the shadows. And it also pushes, it's like the shadows is further back, and I just feel the blue just works so well with that. So some of it is still wet. When I'm doing this, it is carrying through. Then I'm mistakenly rubbing some areas of the flowers, and that is rubbing through as well. So it's like you'd let this dry, I think, I feel, and start adding some other details. But I'm going to add some other details anyway. I'm going to go in to some of these areas and see if I can mix more of a red or more of a pink into the blue, and then sketch in some of the areas. If they're dry, maybe I should try drying it again a little bit more. So just close this Prussian blue, but you can see the difference, the change of what it looks like. And I'm gonna do a little bit of drying, and then I'll come back in and see what else I can add. And while I'm drying, I'm also going to be thinking about what I can change and what I like, what I can keep. I could take a lot more time, and I would have let more areas come in, like this one. I really love the way this looks, but you can push back and forward depending on how much time you have on your projects. Yeah, so I'm just going to try drying it a little bit. So for this, with this drying, I think what's going to happen is that some of the layers on the top will dry. Inside might still be a bit wet, but if I'm light touching it, it's not going to necessarily move the color around. But it is thick acrylic that I've put down. But this is why I like working with acrylic paint the most. I do love to use oil paint as well, but the acrylic paint moves a lot faster. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not. But in this case, whenever I'm doing these classes, I prefer to do this unless it's specifically I want to focus on oil paint and doing some layers. So yeah. This is actually an embossing tool heater. I don't see as many people using it, maybe more in the mixed media community, but that is where I did learn to use it for the embossing that they do. So let's see what I can do here with this. And I'm still looking around and thinking about if I want to do dots of different things, but let me see. Trying to mix a color here. I don't know how this is gonna go. Maybe I should have used Prussian blue only, and so I'm trying to get some of the colors in to some of the layers and take my time to create some detail and have fun bringing the flower out and to life, and also just some unique details. Trying to add some dimension to the flower that might not be visible. I think I need more of the Prussian blue. I really love using this. I can't help myself. It helps to bring the shadows. There's purple there I've just seen as well. So some of the fluorescent pink into that blue. And because this is dried a little bit, sketch some of that back in. It's just so much fun. So let's put, so now I'm just ad-libbing. And you can add like just random petals just in places. Play my bigger one here. So you're having to judge back and forth which brush is perfect for what. So it's a lot of fun thinking like this. And nuances and so just looking at different areas and where I can so that is a bit wet. So I'm just trying to think of what else I could add. There's a lot of wet areas, so it's not that easy. So it's just going back and forth and playing around with this, but I think it is that it needs a bit of a darker, it needs some darker paint. Having the different colors around, slowly it will change the look of the flower. I think that can go that way. So there's some areas that don't have enough dark detail. So let's see what this looks like, because I couldn't get anything else in. It's still wet, but I really like the way that that is blended in because it's wet. I'm going to do the same here. There's still a bit of wet, and thinking about how far you can go with right, let's see. And then coming in here. So it is building, the painting is getting more detail on it. And it is being brave because I'm thinking about things and I'm like, oh, I need to do it. need to see what it's going to look like. And if I didn't do that, I mean, what I have right now, I love it. And some areas are still wet, so those areas are blending together and creating amazing textures. I really love the way this looks. There's some of the blue coming in now into that. And I'm going to mix some of that blue and move that around to the actual painting as well. Be as natural as possible with this. What is my aim in moving it around like this? What is it I'm trying to do, achieve? Just like another organic form in a painting, basically. Carrying the color around. So I could do with some more leaves around. Let's see. Maybe like over here and smush it a bit, and then you scratch into it. Scratch into it. Maybe like around here, maybe a big one here or something. Like so, going that way. There we go. It's not much for me to say. I'm just enjoying myself, really. And I encourage you to do the same. As I said, I wanted to paint some flowers. You can see the flowers here. How would I have introduced this into this mix of things? Because I like using the different tools, as I said. So let me see what I can add this into. I don't cause chaos doing this. So maybe some areas like down here, I could just have a hint of some other textures. But this is something probably I could have done before I started doing more detail on my flowers. But I could still add a little bit of this into the flowers and make it not as controlled or anything like that. So you can still come in with that as well. And that's what I'm saying. I love using the different tools because you can blend them into your background like that. You can get different effects, like with the blue, mixing it into the blue as well. And then into the flower a little bit, and then it carries in. So nothing is it's not everything that has a hard edge to it, so that your painting can be a bit more organic in it. So and let's see, so just carry the textures around whatever is on that. So yeah, I really like the way this looks. So it's just the roller I've used the palette knife, I've used my brushes. I haven't used my flat brush, so maybe I should try doing a little bit of that. Flat brush, let's see, I just put some water on that to get it a little bit. But I might use some of the Prussian blue and get some hard corners with this, because the line on this is what really helps with putting some of that detail in. And I'm trying to think, maybe I'll bring in some other blues as well, like my greeny blue. Let's put that on my palette, greeny blue, and see what I can do with this. So you can bring in some other details with the Prussian blue. Oh no, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Whew. Okay. So I can bring in some other colors. And so I'm using my flat brush. Using different tools, you have different effects that come in. It's really amazing. I love it. And the colors, I mean, you would be able to see it better from above, but the colors are, I'm hoping there's a level of variety. I could have brought in some yellows in here as well. So I want to carry the colors across. So that's what I'm looking at right now. And just filling in areas that, because actually where I'm looking at, it's a bit reflective, but I am willing to leave some areas hazy, go into others, and add some other colors. You can take your time doing this. It's like I'm sort of rushing it. Just added some of my white into this, so this is a bit of a lighter color. I usually like to put the lighter colors towards the top because I'm imagining that the blue sky is towards the top, or the, you know, the sky is towards the top. So I'm always thinking about putting the lighter colors that way, or to kind of emphasize that. So there's a lot that could be done with this. Put some in here just to give that idea of the reflections. But I like some of the scratched in area, and you can always do that again, even to the new bits that you add, you can scratch back. Then obviously there's areas where the sun gets through. So I'm not going to limit where the blue goes. It's a blue-green. So the flat brush, that's this one in here. And then maybe by the time it dries, I would look at it again and think, right, maybe I want to add a bit more here, a bit more here, and scumble as well. So once areas dry, you can go over it and add to those areas. So yeah, I really like the way this page has developed. So I'm gonna put that away, but I could have used my flat brush a lot more. Then what else do I want to do? I've got my little detailed brush as well. So what could I do this with? I could use like my white and there's some of that blue still, greeny blue still mixed in. I'm going to use quite a bit of water to thin it down. And then I could, what can I do in here? Just like, because it's like the blue, tinted the blue, I could just put dots. So I'm going to do, there's going to be my cop out, some big ones, some small ones. Like, I always have this hint of like either bugs or glowworms, or it's not quite that, or just like seeds floating in the air around, you know, the vegetation. But the details, there's a lot of really interesting textured environments in this. So I don't know how much of these dots I'll put in that will kind of look like a cohesive, deliberate mark making element in this. So just enough not to be too much. I don't think I want too much in it. Or you could just have in a corner just some extra sketching with in the areas there, and just give some textures in places. You can use different colors. It could be pinks. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there for today. Thank you so much for joining me. There's so much more we could do. We could go into these again, scratch into them. We could have done a lot of other things, but I wanted to have something that was a little bit cohesive by the end of this whole session. So as I said, you could just keep going in and adding and building the layers. And then some areas don't have to have that detail. But yeah, it is interesting to see how we can create floral designs without actually being overwhelmed with how to go about it. I have just used different tools to help me to get a variety of marks so that there is something going on. Then as I practice more, I'll be able to figure out what it is I want to bring out of an art piece with the different tools I have, or what I want to push back. So I've really enjoyed spending this time, and I've created some artwork. I've created another page in my sketchbook, which I love. And yeah, I'll see what I share with you guys next time. I will obviously tell you before we get started, but I wanted to do this like to create a meadow, and maybe next time it'll be birds. I mean, it could be that I'll create a garden of some sort or an environment, and then I can have the birds. So I really love to paint owls and hummingbirds. Those seem to be my two main things, or animals that I paint as birds, I mean. So we can work on that next time, but I hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you guys next time. Please do check out my description for the extra information that I have, because I have a website as well, that some of this artworks that I create, not necessarily in my sketchbook, but I also have them available for adoption. And also please do subscribe, because it gets more people to share and enjoy in what it is that we're doing in this journey, and hopefully be inspired themselves to get out a book, an old book, and get some acrylic paints and some brushes or whatever they have around them, any tools they have around them. It could be just like a little tube like this, and you could just go ahead and just make marks on your page. So that is all the different stuff that you could do. I love to just have fun with whatever I'm doing, so you can go along and have some fun doing all of that. You do not have to be limited. It's not that there's specific tools that help us to be creative. You can find whatever and just get on with it, really, and just have fun. Enjoy yourself. So yeah, I encourage you to do that and have fun. And I'll see you guys next time, next Sunday. So if you've just joined, my name is Beatrice Ajayi. I'm an artist based in Glasgow, Scotland, and I love to share my art with you guys here. So have a good day. Till next time, stay safe, and I will see you then. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.